Hi everyone, it's Dina from Balance by Dina. Today I'm going to be guiding you through a beginner-friendly mat class or sequence. Not sure how long it's going to be. I'm going to take you through some very fundamental foundational exercises and movements. This sequence is really going to be beginner-friendly, so suitable for everybody. The main thing is to listen to your body first and me second. Whenever I teach or train, this is what I say. So since we are not communicating back and forth at the moment, you can't feed back to me. So you just have to follow my cues the best you can, do the best that you can with your body. If something doesn't feel right, stop, take a break. If you're not sure of something, just sit it out. Okay, so we are going to start lying down this morning. This afternoon, whatever, it's afternoon actually. So also very important, try to remember to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. If you find yourself holding your breath, just go immediately for an exhale and then start through an inhale, exhale. And just do the best you can, like I said, to follow my cues. And really, that's it, okay? Alrighty, so you can find your way down onto your mat or your space. Make sure that whenever you do any work like this, stretching or Pilates or yoga, you want to make sure that you create a space where you can reach your arms overhead and your legs out. So where you can fit your body in full extension with your limbs stretched out, and also that you can reach your arms out to either side without being, interfering, having a wall or something in your way. Okay, so the best that you can to give yourself the most space that you have room to move around. So once we come down to the mat, as I always say, if your head cannot be in a neutral position with your skull and your neck, you might need to put a little pillow, blanket, or folded up towel under your head. You just don't want your head to be forward. You'd rather have your head or your face to the level of your chest if possible, not hanging behind your shoulders, okay? So best that you can, find a centered position. So the principles of Pilates, the principles that I'm going to be really working with today: centering, concentration, control, precision of movement, fluidity of movement, and all connected with the breath. Eventually, we get the precision and the fluidity and the breath connection to work together. But for today's purposes, for the fundamental foundational practice, I want you to focus on centering and concentrating on controlling your movements and or your stabilization aspects of the work. So the first thing we're going to do is try to find center in your space. So whether you have a mat down or just a designated space, I want you to try to find a center, that you're centered. So right now I want to try to center myself on my mat. I want to make sure I'm not too much to the right side, too much to the left side. My feet aren't to one side, my head isn't to the other. So I'm just going to try to center myself in my space, and then I'm going to start to center my energy. As I breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. I have a little pulled muscle up in my left thoracic here, and I didn't really stretch as much as I should have today. So I'm hoping that this will work that out for me a little bit. I feel that tightness as I try to get my deep breath in. So listen to your body, everyone, okay? So feel your feet where they're placed about hip width apart. And remember, when I say hip width apart, that means I'd like my knees in line with my two front hip bones, my ankles in line with my knees. So shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles all aligned. I'm going to feel the soles of the feet on the mat. And just start to focus on being here, where you are in the moment. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, and finding the place where you're as centered as you can be. And then we're going to try to find that neutral pelvis and that neutral spine. So remembering, when we roll the hips back, bringing the hip bones closer to the ribs, or really flattening the lower back into the mat, or lifting the pubic bone up, that is a rear tilt or posterior tilt, okay, of the pelvis. When we roll the pelvis in the opposite direction, where the back lifts off the mat, you can see some space under my back there. I'm exaggerating this, of course. Where I'm tipping my pubic bone down between my legs, that's a forward tilt, okay? So here, I'm rolling through my spine and my pelvis to try to find that best neutral. Can you see that? Rear tilt, forward tilt, rear tilt, forward tilt. So I want to use the muscles in and around my waist and my ribs and in my lower belly and back to find that best neutral. Once I feel that I'm in the best neutral, I'm going to try to stay there and stabilize it by using those deep core muscles in and around the waist, the ribs, and the hips. With each inhale, you want to feel length through your body, in through the nose, and then as you exhale out through the mouth, you want to try to maintain that length and draw your abdominal energies in. The abdominal current is in through this, in toward the spine and up toward the sternum, into the spine, up toward the sternum constantly. Just moving this wire from my microphones into my shirt here. Okay, so feel your head, neck, shoulders. Try to make sure that you're not shrugging up and rounding. Try to feel length and a nice even energy from your base of your spine all the way to the crown of your head. With each inhale, as I said before, find length in your body, and with each exhale, keep that length, but feel a connection as you try to feel that you're drawing your navel energy in towards your spine. We want to try to feel that we're flattening the abdominal energy to the spine, but we're not necessarily flattening the back. Flat back is more of a technical term than a what do I want to say? It's not a literal term. We're not trying to flatten out the curve. We're just trying to support and enhance. So again, the best neutral, find the stability there as best as you can. I'm going to test your ability to keep this neutral spine by reaching your arms back overhead. So up toward the ceiling and reaching the arms back only as far overhead as you can without popping your belly back or ribs, trying not to move the pelvis. Typically, as soon as the arms start to move away from the body, the body tends to pop and arch. Now that's great for a stretch if you're trying to do that, but what we're trying to do here, the objective is to move the arms without losing this neutral shape of the spine. So reaching those arms only as far as you can. When you feel that your waist wants to lift, don't grip your butt and push back to try to fake yourself into keeping this neutral. Use these muscles in and around the hips, the waist, and the ribs to stabilize that, scooping the belly and wrapping your corset. Find the range of motion that works best for you, and then use whatever breath helps you to make the movement happen, and slowly bring those arms back up toward the sky and back down to the mat. Once again, repeating this a few more times. Once again, your objective is to move the arms while maintaining this stable, centered, neutral spine. In through the nose, out through the mouth with your breath. Excuse me. And make sure you're not noosing your neck with your shruggers. Try to feel the arms just pivoting from the trunk. Now go ahead if you feel like you want to and your shoulders can handle it. Reach the arms out to the side and continue through with a nice circle outside the frame of your body, stopping when they're shoulder width apart, bringing them down to the mat, all the while trying to maintain the neutral spine. That means your neck and the entire spine between the ribs and all the way down into the pelvis and into the feet. Find stability as well into the legs. Keep those thighs parallel to each other. I'm not sure how many this is, maybe 4 or 5. So when I get to the bottom of this one, I'm going to reverse those circles. Again, we're trying to get nice, warm up through the shoulders, challenging yourself to maintain that centered neutral spine, maintaining the spinal stabilization. Just moving those arms. Remember, the neck is part of the spine, so the head and neck should not be moving. I'm going to take 2 more here. I'm not sure, again, how many that is. I'm not counting. Just moving through, getting a little warm up through the shoulders. Feel that little knot in mind working itself out a little bit. Bringing the arms back down alongside the body once think you're finished with that. Adjust your hair if it's stuck behind your head. Okay, so here we're going to take 1 foot off the floor in a moment. So find your breath, trying to maintain center. Try not to shift left or right. Maintain your nice, neutral, stable spine and lift the right foot, bringing that leg to a tabletop position. That's a 90-degree bend in the knee and a 90-degree bend in the hip joint. Okay, from here, I'm going to slowly start to reach this leg out, away from my body, making sure that the leg doesn't drop too low. I want the foot about face height or higher, not too far down to the floor. So keep it on an angle where you're feeling that your lower back is staying connected and you're able to maintain the connection through the ribs and through the waist and the corset. And we're going to slowly reach it out and slowly pull it back in. Now what I want you to do here is try to feel as if there's sticky stuff all around your leg in the air, like maybe thick molasses, and you're trying to pull that leg through the sticky stuff, and you're trying to press that leg through the sticky stuff. But notice here, we're trying not to change the shape of our spine out of neutral. So when the leg comes in, I don't want to tuck. When the leg goes out, I don't want to pop, okay? So really feel that you're kind of feeling heavy in the waist and the hip area, really anchored through there. Feeling this energy here. See if you can't connect to the right glutes here, the butt cheek on the right, and wrap the thigh bone around, wrap the thigh muscle or energy tissues around the bone, around the thigh bone here. Try to squeeze the glutes to stop this leg where it's going rather than slam the kneecap. Try to really feel this activation. Let's do 1 or 2 more. That's probably going to bring us somewhere about 5 or 6 repetitions here. When I watch this back, I will see how horribly I counted, or didn't count, if you will. Now on this last one, really squeeze there, pause, feel the thigh bone, bypassing the knee joint ever so slightly, and then slowly bring this leg back into the tabletop position, slowly lower the foot. If you need a break, take a break and shake out now. Otherwise, reset your feet, redirect the energy to maintain center and neutral, and lift the left foot. Check your body, bringing this leg into a tabletop position. Check, check, and recheck that everything is still intact, and fix anything that might need to be fixed. Sticky stuff floating around, and you're going to slowly, slowly reach this leg out, and you're going to try to squeeze right there. Just don't slam that kneecap. Find a range of motion that works best for you, that challenges you to keep your connection here. Breathe and squeeze the glutes and the thighs, slowly bringing this in. Slowly, I'm very shaky on my left side today. That's where my little injury is acting up. So just do the best that you can, same as I am doing right here. Working through, squeezing. Let's take 2 more. That's probably going to bring us, once again, somewhere around 5 or 6. Keep that inner thigh connection. Feel the right foot solid on the big toe side, making sure that everything is working here to maintain stabilization. Although the left leg is the mover, everything in your body is working to help maintain stabilization and center. Beautiful. Releasing the foot back down. Take a nice big stretch here. You can take a nice long body stretch and bring it back into that neutral center. Now you know where we're going with the neutral center, so try to find that place, okay? And I'm going to bring the right knee in toward the chest, and then the left knee in toward the chest. Here you'll rock up into a little bit of a ball, and then arch the back. Pull the thighs in toward your rib cage, and then reach them away. Let your pelvis and your rib cage and your spine move with this, and your shoulders too. And then find that place where you're back into a neutral spine, carefully bringing one foot down and the other foot down. Okay, so here what we're going to do is, once we're back in that neutral spine, I'm going to lift that right foot, bringing the leg to tabletop again. And we're going to bring the left foot to tabletop. Now you have 2 legs in the air. You have to be careful that you're not popping and you're not doing this to keep your connection. Okay, bringing 2 feet off the floor with the load of 2 legs on your spine is a lot of work, and it can challenge your lower back stability here. So you really got to make sure you're maintaining that core connection as best as you can. If you feel really brave, start to extend your legs up to the sky. If your hamstrings are very, very tight, then just reach from extension of the knees or straighten your legs only to the point where you're not going here, okay? If this is too tight, too heavy, then just take a break. We're just doing this to see what's going on. I want you to check what's going on in here when you bring your feet off the mat, making sure you're not straining and popping into your back, making sure you're able to maintain this connection. Carefully bring the knees into your chest again, and slowly place one foot down and the other foot down. Wonderful. Okay, so from here, we're going to come up into what we call a chest lift or a chest curl. So remember, in my book, there's no such thing as a crunch in Pilates. The only thing you want crunching in your body is something you're chewing on, and in my life, preferably vegan and healthy. Okay, so we don't think crunching in the body. So we're not going to be pulling and pushing our belly out and tucking our hips back and pulling our head to our lower body. What we want to do is find a place where we can interlace the fingers and bring the hands onto the big ball of your skull here. You want your elbows to be visible in your peripheral vision. I'm taking my thumbs right into that notch at the base of my skull. I'm going to press the skull into the hands. Going to nod the nose and chin forward slightly and lift just the head first. Okay, the head and part of the neck is flexing. And then we're going to pull the waist into the mat and lift those shoulder blades off the mat. You want to gaze forward and down a little bit toward your knees, and make sure you're not pulling on the head. I want to make sure I'm lifting from here, not from here. So I want to pull my chin here to keep my earlobes in line with my shruggers as best as possible, not jutting them forward like this. Okay? So make sure you're not here. If you can see this is not really engaging my abs. I'm just kind of hanging out here. So what I'm going to do is pull my core together and try to lift up so that my shoulder blades are starting to come off the mat as much as possible. Okay? And then I'm going to use my waist to lower back down. And just as my knuckles touch the floor, I'm going to come back up. And I want to think about lifting up with my chest toward the ceiling rather than going toward my legs and down, toward my legs and down. That's not what I want. Notice how my head is not bobbing. So you want to come down just before you're ready to take that rest. Not jutting the head forward, flexing from the waist and extending from the waist. Come back down when you've had enough and arch the back off the mat. So the chest curl, we're trying to use the flexors and extensors. We're kind of co-contracting them. We're not trying to bring the upper body to the lower body. We're trying to just think about lifting up to lift up using the flexors and extensors. So the way down, lower is a verb in this aspect. So we want to activate and keep the activation on the way down until we're fully rested. So let's try here to bring our bodies back into that neutral spine when you're ready. Hands behind the head to support the head. The hands are there to support the weight of the head off the neck, to kind of free up the neck by floating the head, not by pulling on the head, okay? So you want to press and have like this reciprocal relationship between the hands and the head as we're pressing the skull into the hands and the hands into the skull. So here I'm going to have you lift up into that chest curl again. I'm just trying to swivel under my shoulders there and set your pelvis to the best neutral you can, and we're going to lift the right foot off the floor and then the left foot off the floor, really sinking your waist into the mat. Here we're going to bring the right knee in toward the chest and the left leg out pretty much on the angle that we had the single leg reaching before. Okay? Now, if you feel brave and you're not going to hang into your neck or drop out of this, you can grab a hold of this leg with both hands. Breathe. I'm doing classical hand placement. You could just do whatever works best. We'll get into this in the future. Anchor and slowly switch. Keep your eyes looking right toward that foot of the extended leg and keep your eyes there as you switch legs. Feel free to put your hands back behind your head as long as you're not going to drop down here and let go. Slowly switch those legs. Anchor through your middle. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Nice and slow. Nice and long. Sticky stuff. Really reaching. Last time, I'm going to bring my left leg in. Bring both knees in. Slowly and carefully lower down to the mat, lowering one foot. And then the other foot, and take a nice long stretch, arching the back off the mat. So always taking a counter stretch. Beautiful. We're going to go to the double leg stretch now. During any of these movements where I have you lifting up in a chest curl, you can stay down in neutral. You're just going to change the shape of your, the height or the range of motion of your limbs. So the first section or the first variation of this, we're going to stay in a neutral. Then we're going to come down and then we're going to do this up in a chest curl. So here we go. Finding your center in neutral once again. Breathe your way. Tabletop one leg and then the other. Bring your hands onto your knees, tops of your shins. Find the breath. Pull the legs in only as far as you can without losing the shape of your spine, without tucking into a ball. And then slowly reach all four limbs, both arms and legs, away from your center, but only reaching as far back as you can without what? Without popping your back off the mat. No tucking. And then slowly bring them back in, pulling in without changing the shape of your spine. Reach only where you can reach, where you're very challenged to keep that connection. Feeling brave, sweep the arms out to the sides and pull the legs back in with the hands when they meet. Reaching only as far as you can without popping belly back or ribs, bringing this back in. Good. One more time like that, maintaining the neutral spine. Keep your eyes forward past your nose tip. Don't follow your hands with your eyes or that's going to move your head. Here, using your waist energies, come up into a chest curl. Feel free to keep your hands behind your head and maybe do one hand if you need that support. Otherwise, we're going to do that same thing while maintaining the chest curl. Let's have those arms for this version in your peripheral vision at all times. So keep the upper arms from going behind your ears. Please don't follow your hands with your eyes. Look toward your legs or your feet. Feel free to keep your hands behind your head and just move the legs. Here for the last two, I'm rotating my thigh bones out to my Pilates stance on the extension, but don't let that confuse you. We'll go through that another time. Bring everything in and lower down and take a nice stretch. Breathe deeply in through the nose and out through the mouth. Back to center, neutral spine when you're ready. Remember to move slowly. It's usually in the transitions between exercises that we tweak something, so be very careful here, okay? Okay, so here we go. We're going to find that center once again. As always, be sure to put one hand behind your head if you need to, or both hands, and just take the arm movement out of this and just do the legs. Okay, so we're going to go for a single straight leg stretch or scissors or leg changes or straight leg changes, whatever you want to call it. Find your neutral as best as you can. And we're going to lift one leg and then the other as best as you can without popping belly, back, or ribs. And here you're going to straighten the legs as much as you can. Remember earlier, if you're shaking and your hamstrings are too tight and everything's going to get lost, then sit this one out. Otherwise, do the best you can, okay? So we're going to come up into that chest lift again. Hands behind the head is perfectly fine. So let's start with hands behind the head. Here we're going to flex the ankles and bring the right leg toward your head and the left leg down to about face height with that foot. Point both feet, extending through the ankles and the toes, then flex them. Then slowly, slowly through that sticky stuff, anchor through your middle. How are you? Once you arrive where you're going, point the feet. Good. Now flex both and point at the top. Grab a hold of the right leg. Once you get where you're going, flex the ankles, stretch. Keep your body where it is. Point as you switch. Flex when you arrive, a little stretch. Don't move the body, just the legs. And the hands are just here waiting for the leg to arrive. And once it gets the leg, it's going to say, oh, let me bend the elbows and pull this leg toward me a little bit more. Breathe. If the flexing and the pointing of the feet confuse you, then just keep them pointed or flexed. Last time here, both legs are going to come up, hands behind the head. Bring the legs up as straight as you can. Pilates stance or neutral. If you're not sure what Pilates stance is, don't worry about it. And then carefully come down to rest. Rock side to side. And take a nice big stretch here. I'm going to double straight leg stretch. Find the neutral spine when you're ready. Once you're there, anchor as best as possible. One leg up and then the other leg up. Fix anything that needs to be fixed and stretch those legs to the sky. Bring your hands behind your head for support and come up into that chest curl. Now, here, you can just work on staying here and controlling all of this, or you can start to lower those legs down. Now, these legs are only going to go as far down as you can without what? Without popping belly, back, or ribs. And you're not swinging, okay? This is where I say bring them, don't swing them. So come on up and find that place and slowly anchor through your middle, really heavy into the waist. Picture somebody standing on your belly. No popping. Breathe, really feel that stretch and those deep abdominals. Deep breaths. Stay lifted in that curl. Only go down as far as you can before you lose your center. The belly should not pull away from the spine, and the spine should not be lifting or popping off the mat. I'm going to take one more here. Breathe and bring it back. Up, feet down, and arch the back off the mat. You can feel free to stretch those legs out. So I'm not going to do crisscross here, which I might work into the sequence maybe next time. We're going to take it, bring your knees back to the bent position, feet flat, arms out to the sides, and just take your legs to one side and then open and roll through the hips and take it to the other side. And just do that one or two more times. Moving your head and your neck and your ribs and your shoulders. And we're going to come up to sit here. Now, we're going to have an option to do a roll up or to just rock it up to sit or move onto your side and come up to sit. Either way, we'll meet seated at the top of the mat, okay? So here I'm going to take my feet together And Pilates stands for neutral. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, just put the legs together. Wherever works for you, try to get your feet to touch. We're going to try to feel a little micro bend in the back of the knee joint here and try not to pop off the mat. So we want to use the abdominal energies to pull the pelvis into neutral. Here I'm going to flex my feet. I think I'm going to be in Pilates stance. For this version today, we're just going to reach the arms up in front of the body, about chest height. I'm going to nod the nose and chin forward slightly and think about floating up toward the sky as I pull my waist back. Stretch the legs, scoop the belly, and float, 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 up, up, up. And here I'm going to have you come to the neutral centered spine. Bending the knees only as much as you need to get your spine tall. If your legs are straight and you can't get tall, bend the knees to be able to lift here, okay? Nice deep breaths, beautiful. Bringing your hands down alongside you, opening the legs just a little wider than the frame of your body. Here we're going to picture that our heels and our sitting bones are in a bed of cement. So we're not going to rock and we're not going to move from the hips. So from the waist down, nothing is going to move, okay? So here, we're going to bring our fingertips just to our ears, tucking the wrists in a little bit so that we don't have the heels of the hands jutting out, okay? Stuck in that cement in the bottom part of your body, we're going to rotate trunk, head, neck, and eyes to the left, and we're going to pulse from the waist, pulling the navel energy in. Get that right arm back there and pulse. 2, 3. Inhale through the center. Exhale. Now, whatever breath works for you is fine. Open those elbows away from each other and pulsing 3. Inhale. Exhale. Elbows back. 1, 2, 3. Inhale through the center. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Now feel free to open up those arms, but keep those arms back there. So this back arm, which is now toward you, my left arm should not be in my peripheral vision really. For this version, I want those shoulders drawing back a little bit and keep those arms from coming across your body. Yeah, let's open them out a little bit more behind the body without popping the ribs. We're going to pulse 1, 2, 3. Try to keep even weight in both sitting bones here. Last time. Last time to the right. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, and release, rounding the spine. Here we're going to make our way onto hands and knees, please. However it is that you need to get there. Once you get to your hands and knees, I'm just going to put my hair into a little thingy-majiggy, and I'm going to have a sip of water if you would like. Water break. Pause. Okay, so here we're going to come up onto hands and knees. And of course, if you can't be on your hands or your knees for any reason, just sit this one out. Message me if you need modifications for anything or you have questions about anything. So for today, I'm going to have my hands a little wider than the frame of my body. I'm going to walk toward the front end of my mat so I have room to work here when I want to stretch back. My hands are going to be a little bit in front of my shoulders and a little wider than shoulder width apart. Ideally, I like to turn my elbow points back. So it's almost like I'm opening up 2 tight jars with this energy. My upper arms are turning a key, nice and big, wrapping the shoulder blades around to my armpits. Trying to find the neutral spine here. So remember, this is not neutral. This is an extension beyond neutral. This is flat. This is flexion. So neutral to maybe just a flat back is fine. Try not to hang into your joints. Try to really feel that you're lifting out of your skeleton, reaching the tips of the ears away from the shoulders, sitting bones away from the shoulders as well in the opposite direction. Try to feel real strong and solid in your arms, not drippy and droppy. Really feel strong. Okay, try to feel the hips over the knees. And when and if you feel ready, we're going to take that left leg back and we're going to try to get that foot where it's about the height of the butt cheek. And if you really use what we call contralateral energy or that crisscross energy from opposite shoulder to opposite hip in the front of the back of the body, the opposite arm should feel pretty light. We're trying to square off those hips as best as you can to once again find that neutral center. Really feel the strength of the standing arm and shoulder and ribs. Feel everything kicking on from obliques to serratus anterior, all these nice muscles and tissues, and then bring that knee back down. Shift and move as needed. Find the center once again. Fix anything that needs to be fixed as best as you can. Reset when and if you feel ready. Try not to shift your body weight. Make sure you don't pitch forward. Send that body weight back. Try not to shift your body weight to either side, and feel that standing arm nice and strong. Feel the abdominals. Notice when your pelvis and your hips, then body wants to tip. Do the best you can to find the center and balance here. Deep breaths. Here, we're going to bring it back down when you're ready. Good. Open the knees wide, feet together, and sit back if your knees and hips are okay with it for a nice wide-kneed, extended child's pose. Walk those hands forward. Don't allow the elbows or forearms to come to the mat. Bring the face down only if it feels okay. Keep the elbows and forearms off the mat. Really pull back through the heels of the hands, stretching through those shoulders. Now really feel your center, squaring those hips and shoulders, but round up through your center. And then reset into neutral. Breathe. Here, when you feel ready, we're going to take one foot back, pressing the toe pads into the floor. Keep sending your body weight back, and then the other foot coming into your high plank. Now try to feel your body. Are you rounding? Are you dropping? Did you drop your head? Did you jut your head forward? Can we squeeze the glutes, bringing that tail into neutral, feeling the abdominal energies here? Find that plank. I have an itch. As best as you can. Nice deep breaths. And we're just going to hold this for a count of 5 more. 3, 2, and 1. Carefully come down 1 foot and then the other. And coming to sit. Here we're going to come to sit facing the front of your room, facing me. I'm going to come down onto my left side. Right leg on top. Now here, I'm going to rotate my thigh bones out to a Pilates stance. This bottom foot and leg is very active, energizing and supporting me and balancing me, or helping me to stabilize and balance here. I would love a neutral spine, so if you can, your neck stays in line with the rest of your body, so you're not up here with the head for this version. Try to square your hips, stack your hips and square them with your shoulders. Squeeze into the glutes just enough to pull that pelvis into that neutral position. So you want to tuck that pelvis under to neutral. Feel the length in your abdominals. Really lengthen both legs. Feel like you're up against an imaginary wall. So try to get that body stacked. This hand here is going to help you stabilize. If you're really stable and you want more challenge, the hand goes here, here, or here. Okay? Balance that cup of water or tea on this hip bone here so we don't hike up here. Okay? So for today, we're going to flex this ankle and bring this leg only as high as we can without rolling back or without hiking and tucking, okay? So we're going to flex, keep reaching, keep the body long, lift, point, and lower. Nice and slow. Once again, sticky stuff in the air, lift. Eventually you can go to a nice tempo, but right now the slower you go, the deeper you go. See if you can bypass that knee joint, just micro bending it a little bit. Squeeze, try not to roll back. All right, so I'm going to count this as number 4. Squeeze. 5. Squeeze. Think of squeezing those glutes. Keep this space nice and open here. Try not to let the hip hike up too much toward the ribs, if at all. Okay, that's 6, I think. So here, we're going to bring this to about hip height or shoulder height. You're going to bring this leg a little bit in front of your body, a little bit above. Squeeze behind, but here, squeeze the glutes. Don't pop the ribs or roll forward. Squeeze the ribs and the glutes and sweep that top heel toward the bottom heel. Fix that right shoulder like I just did. So here it's a little bit of hip flexion, a little bit of abduction, a little bit of extension, and then a little bit of adduction. Okay, so tiny circles, small and controlled, trying to do it from the thigh bone, but really think about the foot stretching away, the body staying long and stable. Let's do one more. I don't know, maybe that's 5 or 6. We're going to reverse here. Squeeze it back, lift it up. I have to keep checking my right shoulder. It was riding up again. I don't know if you saw that. Really anchor, and every now and then energize through that bottom leg. Try to lift the bottom rib cage energy rather than pushing it down. It's trying to stay long on both sides of your ribs, at both sides of your waist. Let's do one more. I know it's a little off count, but Close enough. Lift this top leg to about shoulder height and then lift the bottom leg to meet it. Now when you do this, the feet are going to tend to go back, the body's going to want to roll, so try to get your body like you're between two panes of glass. Squeeze, tuck the tail, and tap small. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you can, keep those legs lifted and stretch the top leg back, bottom leg forward, but keep this hip looking at me. Don't rock it open to the ceiling. Stretch and reach. Reach both arms overhead as long as your shoulders are okay with that, and take the legs down in this position. Take a nice stretch. And then slowly, bending the knees, take the right hand to the floor. Carefully shimmy your shoulders so that you can rotate your trunk toward the sky and take the top leg forward, bottom leg back for a little rotation twist. Stretch. If that's not okay with you, just stretch whatever feels good. Listen to your body. Carefully come back onto the left side, bending the knees. Bring your right hand down to the floor. Use both arms to help you come slowly up to sit. The head comes up last. We're going to take it over to the other side. Same thing on this side again. I don't know how many we did, but I'm just going to move my little receiver here. Okay, so let's set it up. You know where we're going. Let's try to get the best neutral. Try to lighten up the bottom body. We don't push down. We lengthen. Bottom leg is active. Top leg lifts. We're going to flex as we bring the leg up. Point as you lower down. Keep everything long. Flex and point. So as we're extending the ankle, we're extending the hip. The knee stays extended. Hip flexion, ankle flexion. Keeping your body nice and long. 3. Stretch. 4. Here we're going to go 2 more. Try to keep the pelvis nice and stable. Okay, so your range of motion is dictated by your ability to maintain the centered neutral spine here. So here we're going to bring it down, completing that repetition. Float at about hip height, shoulder height, somewhere around there. And small circles from the thigh bone. Try, as I always say, to bypass the knee joint. Think about the hip bones bolting together to really keep that pelvic floor tight. Squeeze through the glutes as you go back. I'm going to say 2 more because I really, again, have no idea how many. Watch the waist and the ribs. I can count, I promise. I'm just not doing it today too well. Up and around. This is just to get a feel for the work and what you can and can't do with your body at any given time, and how you modify or adjust that. That's all. Try your best, forget the rest. All right, let's do 1 more. I'm not sure, as always. Blah, blah. Counting. Hold it here. Bring the bottom leg to meet the top. Fix what needs to be fixed. Really feel the glutes. Feel your body lengthening, not digging down. And tap. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Try to hold them up. That bottom thigh is off the floor. Keep these hips stacked. Reach the arms if it feels okay. Stretch out. Reach. This should feel really nice. Bending the knees, engaging your abdominals, using your hands to twist around if you feel like you want to take this twist. Wonderful. Here we're just going to take it to our bellies for something in the prone position before we finish with a little bridging. So here we're going to take your body and you're going to rest one hand on top of the other with your forehead resting on your hands. Here we're going to bring the body into a place where you feel safe and supported. So you have to draw your abdominals in. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that we can pull that pelvis into that neutral position. What you don't want to do is grip and push your pelvis into the mat, but you want it lengthened. So as you roll the pelvis into that rear tilt to get to neutral, or maybe even a little bit of a rear tilt, You want to feel that you're lengthening the abdominal wall up, and then you'll get a stretch through those hamstrings as well. Try to feel the shoulders wrapping around to the armpits. And think about the elbow points, just pressing gently or aiming out down toward the floor to help you stretch into that mid and upper back and shoulders. Press the feet gently yet firmly into the floor and stretch those legs out of your thigh bones. Or actually your thigh bones out of your pelvis. I'm going to keep that head and neck supported for now. I'm going to lift that right leg up, lengthen the leg a little bit longer out of the hip joint and lift it only to the point where that hip does not lift off the mat. And then tap and lift. Squeeze those glutes. Tap and lift. Check in with your shoulders. 4, keep it nice and close to the other leg, at least hip width apart. 6, no pushing down into that lower back. Keep pulling your abdominal energy in. 9. On 10, we're going to hold and just pulse. 10, 9, no bouncing. Maintain stabilization. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reach it. Keep everything active. Keep the leg long as you ground through that foot. Stretch through the left leg now and lift the foot, the knee, and part of the thigh. Try to keep that hip bone down. Retap and lift. Keep the leg long. Feel your glutes. Try to lift from the glutes. The right foot, is really anchoring in toward the mat as well. Your abdominals are really drawing in with each exhale to help support that lower back. No idea. I'm going to go for 5 on this. I'm going to call this number 6 coming up. Keep your head down. Watch your shoulders. 8, 9, 10. Hold here and pulse. 10, 9, 8. Draw your abs in. Check in with your pelvis. 4 more. 3, 2, 1. Keep that head down. Engage. And if you can, you're going to lift both legs and squeeze the heels together. Then open. Squeeze together. Open just hip width. Squeeze together. Open just hip width. We're going to go for 5 more here. 5. Squeeze the legs. 4. Squeeze the glutes. 3. Squeeze the abs. 2. Remember, you got to pee and you're trying to hold it in. Now hold the heels and tap for 10, 9, 8, 7. Stabilize that body. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Nice work. Here, you're going to take your hands a little bit in front of you, and you're going to make a little triangle. Point your fingers and thumbs. Take your feet wide or close, wherever they feel okay, but once again, engage the abdominals. And here, you're going to just pull the elbows back and in toward each other, wrapping the shoulder blades around to the armpits and lifting your chest wall up. Remember, you're not trying to go up and back. You're trying to go forward and up. Lengthen your body. See that? I'm not going up like this. I'm going to go forward and up, drawing the abdominals in and stretching. Feel free to take your hands about shoulder width apart and then maybe reach them out and then pull away from your hands and then draw your collarbones open, wide, shoulder blades back. Don't push down and up or up and back. Lengthen forward and lift up. And then bring the elbows down. Carefully, carefully bring the elbows underneath your armpits. You're going to squeeze your butt, tuck your tail, round your spine, lift your ribs and hips at the same time, and slowly sit back. For child's pose or anything that feels good for you. Okay, from here we're going to come back one last time down onto our backs as we do a little bridging, shoulder bridge work. Excuse me, a little bit of water. Okay, so coming down onto your back, pretty much like we started. Find your neutral spine as best as you can. Any little stretching or shaking out things that you need to do, please do now. If you do work with that pillow behind your head, now is the time to take it out because we're going to be bridging, shoulder bridge, and I don't want to force that neck down to the chin down toward the throat. So we want to keep that length in the neck. So when my bridging sequence is, for most of the time, I like to make sure that when you're up in that bridge, your ankle is underneath your knee, not tucked up back here, and not too far out in front, okay? And you can always fix that when we come up. So we're just going to do a brief bridge exploration here. We're going to actually just do bridge articulation for today's class, and then we can get into a whole bridging sequences in the future. So right now, think about the beginning of class and the entire theme here of that neutral. Find the best neutral you can. From the neck all the way down, the entire spine. The neck is part of the spine, so try to find that place. Again, if you have to use a pillow, right now your head might be here because we took the pillow out. So depending on the degree of curvature in your neck, you could even do bridging with a very small pillow perhaps. But right now, let's just try to figure out what's going on. Listen to your body. If you're not sure, send me a little video and I'll help guide you. Okay, so we're here. Now we're going to use the waist to rear tilt the pelvis, okay? So I want you to think about using these muscles to sink the waist into the mat, to tilt the pelvis back. So you're not going to go grip and push. It's not this grippy hippie thing. It's a nice, beautiful fluid pulling the waist into the mat, returning it. So scoop your waist, pull the waist into the mat. As you press into your feet, imaginary item between your knees, something that you don't want to crush but you don't want to drop to help you engage the inner thighs. Keep the big toe side of each foot connected as well, the entire sole of both feet. So right now I'm going to rear tilt using my waist, and just here I'm going to squeeze my glutes and then return it to neutral. Don't overshoot and pop, okay? Stay out of those shoulders. Pull the belly in, return it to neutral. Now, one more time, we're going to stay back in that rear tilt. So if you haven't done a few of those as I was doing them, please do some. And then now let's get together into a rear tilt. Press into the feet, squeeze the glutes and the imaginary item. Press into the feet to peel off the mat, lifting the pelvis just off the mat. My lowest ribs are still on the mat. Now, as soon as I start to lift the rest of my waist and my ribs, I want to think of stretching my thigh energy that way. So I don't want my body weight all going up to here. I want to stretch that way. Okay, now try not to grip when you go up into your hips and your legs, because then you can get little hamstrings cramping there. So we're going to go rear tilt, press, stretch that body energy away, and squeezing into the glutes just enough to pull that pelvis into that neutral. So we're not going to be up here, and we're not going to have that chin down to the chest. We want to have the collarbones just open but not popping. The sternum is still kind of knit together. We're going to feel those side ribs pulling back, body weight going out past the knees, shins, and toes. Reset the feet as needed. Shoulder base is wide, arms are active. For more challenge, you can bring your arms up to the sky or overhead or out to the sides, whatever works. So here, keeping your head and neck open in neutral, we're going to melt down. Keep your shoulder blades on the floor. Feel the back of your sternum coming to the mat, and then try to feel both sides of your rib cage on the back body spreading down into the mat, even as each vertebra of the spine imprints. Here, I'm back into that rear tilt still, and then I'm going to go back into my neutral. Inhale. Exhale, scoop the belly, press into the feet, peeling off one segment of the spine at a time, stretching the body weight away from your face, reaching through fingertips and thighs, knees and toes. So you want to think about the shins, the knees reaching past your shins and toes, the thighs reaching out past your knees and toes. Find that breath, and when you're ready, rolling back down through that spine. You're flexing at the waist. Your pelvis is in that rear tilt now. Scooping that belly, keeping the front of your shoulders open, keeping your throat open. Feel each segment of the spine coming down into the mat as best as you can. Rear hips, pelvis returns to neutral. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Keep the breath flowing. Whatever breath works for you. Open up here. Now here at the top, open the arms out to the sides if they're not already, palms up. Keep pressing into your feet. The feet are the things that are keeping your hips up, not a grippy, pushy butt. Now open your sternum toward the ceiling, pressing into your feet to lift the hips too. Feel the shoulder blades just kind of drawing toward each other, down toward the floor. Reach the fingertips and then melt back down. Slowly. One segment of the spine at a time. And once you get back down there, grab a hold of your legs and stretch them up. Your hammies might be a little talking to you. If you really engage the legs properly, there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of risk of just working through your old patterns and habits. So the key and the thing that makes this Pilates work different than all the other work and that you probably might have done in the past is all the principles, adherence to the principles, understanding the foundations and fundamentals. And we want to make sure that we're operating our bodies in the way that we're going to get the best benefit from the movements. Otherwise, we're only encouraging what's already weak and imbalanced in our bodies. I hope that makes sense to you. So hopefully you just shook out like I did and did a little bit of gentle, careful movements. Feel free to just roll around and rock around. And when you feel ready, you're going to roll onto your side to face me and carefully use your arms, your hands to come back up to sit, letting your head come up last. So anyway, there you have it. That's just a basic Pilates sequencing or Pilates class for you to get exposed to some of the principles and the awareness exercises and foundations and fundamentals. So here, you can come up however you'd like to. Lots of times I end the class coming up to stand and rocking out, but here I'm just going to finish seated as we take a cross-legged seat or any quote-unquote comfortable seated position for you. And we're just going to take a nice little twist here, trying to rotate around the central axis of your spine, drawing your shoulders down, just rotating to where it feels okay, just a feel-good twist. Be careful, and as always, listen to your body. Nice deep breaths here. Beautiful. Feel free to flex and extend the spine, rolling out through the shoulders. Any other stretches you might want to do. Many, many, many things to do here. So many things I want to walk you through and guide you through. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions, feedback, good or bad, and feel free to message me. We can do virtual conversations about these, your body, anything you need. Like I said, right now I'm still getting acclimated to stuff, so I'm just dumping different things up onto this channel, and then I'm going to start categorizing and sequencing and hopefully cleaning it all up for you. But anyway, it's real, it's organic, it's who we are, it's me. We're all trying to find balance in our lives, and that's the purpose. So that's it for now. Be balanced. Peace out, beautiful people. Stay long and strong. Ciao for now.